She doesn't scream. She doesn't confess. She just changes slowly, quietly, and in ways you can't explain. One day she's warm, the next she's a stranger, cooking your favorite meal with a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. And here's the brutal truth. By the time you ask, it's already too late. Because some wives don't hide the affair, they hide the exit plan right in front of you. Part 1. The shift of blame when she makes you feel guilty for doubting her. It starts with a simple question. Why were you texting so late? And what you expect, what any emotionally honest man hopes for, is a clear answer, maybe even a conversation. But instead, what comes is not clarity, it's deflection. I can't believe you don't trust me. After everything I've done for you, this is what you think of me? Suddenly, the spotlight isn't on the strange behavior you noticed, it's on you, on your doubt, on your failure to be the secure partner. And just like that, you're no longer trying to understand what's off, you're defending your own sanity. This is what Esther Perel might call emotional reframing as protection. When someone feels threatened, not physically, but psychologically, they don't always fight back with logic. They fight with shame. And in relationships, shame is one of the most disorienting weapons. Because it doesn't attack what you did, it attacks who you are. She doesn't scream. She doesn't need to. Her silence, her tone, the wounded expression all whisper the same thing. You're the problem here. And if you're a man raised to be understanding, respectful, emotionally aware, you may not even realize it, but you've been conditioned to retreat the moment you're called jealous or controlling. Society has sold you the idea that good men never question they trust, always. But Stoicism teaches something else. A Stoic man does not react to guilt or praise, he observes both. He measures a person not by how they speak when confronted, but by whether their behavior aligns with truth. And the truth is, a woman who is hiding something will often project discomfort onto you. Why? Because as long as you feel wrong for doubting her, you'll stop asking the questions she doesn't want to answer. It's psychological judo. Use your opponent's strength, your love, your empathy against him. This kind of blame shifting is subtle. It doesn't scream infidelity or deceit. It whispers, "You're too sensitive. You're imagining things." And over time, it builds a wall between you and your own intuition. Many men find themselves gaslighting themselves before she ever has to. You start thinking, maybe I'm too paranoid. Maybe I'm just insecure. Maybe the problem is me. But what if the problem is that you were never allowed to sit with your own suspicions long enough to explore them? Esther Perel often reminds us that secrecy is not the same as privacy. And when secrecy is protected by guilt, by shame, it ceases to be an individual right and becomes a relational weapon. Here's what a healthy woman does when asked a tough question. She breathes. She listens. She answers with patience, even if she's frustrated. Because a woman with nothing to hide doesn't punish you for being curious. She welcomes honesty. Because honesty is what builds trust, not what destroys it. So if every question you ask feels like a crime, that's not intimacy, that's performance. And she's not seeking your trust, she's managing your perception. A man grounded in Stoic clarity doesn't run from discomfort. He sits in it, watches it, learns from it. You don't need to explode. You don't need to accuse. You just need to observe how the truth makes her behave, not what she says, but what she does when you gently lean toward the truth. Because truth, when denied, always pushes back. Part 2. The perfect wife illusion. A mask of guilt, not love. She's cooking your favorite meals again. The house feels warmer, her eyes sparkle like they did years ago. You almost believe the storm has passed, that your marriage is healing, that the distance has closed. But deep inside, something doesn't feel earned. It feels rehearsed. This is not the return of affection. It's the arrival of illusion. When a woman suddenly becomes the perfect wife, more attentive, more agreeable, more affectionate, it's easy to confuse it for love. But in truth, It may be guilt dressed in devotion. This mask isn't for you. It's for her. A performance meant to silence her own conscience and blur yours. You see, when people betray someone they once loved, they don't always confess. They compensate. And guilt, when unspoken, doesn't disappear. It transforms into gifts, into compliance, into over-effort. Esther Perel once said, "Sometimes we create perfection not from love, but from shame." A cheating partner isn't always cold or cruel. Sometimes she's kinder than ever, not because she loves you more, but because she loves herself less in the mirror. And she's trying to undo the damage with gestures, not truth. This shift catches men off guard because we've been trained to equate effort with sincerity. But Stoicism teaches us not to judge by appearances, but by patterns. Real growth in a relationship doesn't arrive overnight. It shows up in small, consistent truth-tellings, not grand gestures in times of guilt. Let's be honest. When she's suddenly everything you ever hoped for, attentive, gentle, fun, without a single conversation, apology, or admission of past distance, it's not healing, it's hiding. The man who doesn't pause to question why the temperature changed so quickly may walk deeper into a carefully constructed fog. He becomes grateful for crumbs that should have always been the meal. And worse, he begins to feel guilty for even suspecting something's wrong. This is the psychological trap. You're being made to thank her for behaviors that should have always been normal, while being emotionally softened for the betrayal you haven't yet uncovered. But here's what Stoic clarity reminds you. Comfort is not always safety, and warmth is not always truth. A woman masking her guilt with affection will eventually burn out, because performance requires energy, and the illusion of perfection cannot last. When that energy fades, so will the gestures. And all you'll be left with is confusion and silence and the echo of questions you were too afraid to ask. This isn't about paranoia. It's about pattern recognition. If your relationship suddenly improves without mutual conversations, honesty, or emotional repair, stop and reflect. Not all sudden beauty is sincere. Sometimes it's camouflage. And the man who sees through the illusion early, not with anger, but with calm awareness, spares himself the pain of waking up one day and realizing she didn't come back. She was just passing through, making peace with her own guilt. That's not love, that's theater. And you deserve more than a role in someone else's performance. Part 3. A locked phone. A split life. The digital mirror of her infidelity. At first, it's nothing. A glance, a smile, a screen that lights up and quickly dims when you enter the room. She used to leave her phone on the kitchen counter, unlocked, forgotten. Now, it's always face down, always guarded. And when you reach for it just to move it aside, her eyes flicker. Her voice shifts. "It's private," she says. And somehow you feel like the intruder. But here's the truth. In the modern age, infidelity doesn't always wear perfume or lipstick. Sometimes it wears notifications. It hides in silent messages, dual apps, hidden folders. And the most painful betrayal isn't what she does in the world, it's what she builds in the digital one. Her phone becomes a portal to another life, one you're not part of. A life where she's funny, flirty, open, where she shares stories, late-night thoughts, even little secrets, just not with you. It starts with, "He's just a friend," becomes, "You wouldn't understand," and ends with you realizing you've been emotionally replaced without ever being touched. Esther Perel once asked, "When we betray a partner, are we betraying the more? Are we betraying who we are when we're with them?" In that hidden chat, she isn't just texting someone else. She's becoming someone else. Someone freer, less judged, more desired. And while you're sitting beside her on the couch, watching a show you both used to love, her mind is somewhere else, texting a man you'll never meet, laughing at jokes you didn't hear, sharing dreams you were never invited into. This is not just about cheating. This is about access. Emotional intimacy requires presence, and when that presence is directed into a glowing rectangle, night after night, you're left with a shell. She's there, but her warmth isn't. She's present, but not available. And yet, the cleverness of this deception is that it leaves no physical trace. There's no lipstick on a collar, no strange phone calls at midnight, just passwords, cleared histories, dismissed suspicions. Worse still, she turns the suspicion into an accusation. If you trusted me, you wouldn't need to check. If you have to look, maybe you're the problem. And in a twisted irony, you begin to apologize for noticing. But make no mistake, when the screen becomes more alive than the connection between two hearts, the affair has already begun. Not just a sexual one, but an emotional migration. And the tragedy? You feel it, long before you ever confirm it. Stoicism reminds us not to fear what we cannot control, but it also tells us not to ignore what is visible. A locked phone isn't just about privacy, it's about partition. A shared life should not require secrecy to survive. So the next time she guards her device like a diary in a war zone, ask yourself, what is more dangerous, the secret she keeps, or the silence you've learned to accept? Because emotional betrayal doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it comes with a dim glow beneath the blanket, and a man who lies awake next to the woman he loves, feeling more alone than ever. Part 4. Rewriting the past. When she edits the story to justify the betrayal, there's a particular cruelty in the betrayal that comes after years of shared memories. It's not just the cheating, it's not just the lies. It's the revision, the rewriting of a love story you thought was real. At first, she says subtle things like, "We haven't been close in a long time," or "I've felt unseen for years." You're stunned because just 6 months ago she held your hand and whispered how lucky she felt. But now, everything you thought was true is up for debate. Moments you both laughed at, celebrated, grew through, now reframed as fake, forced, or fragile. She reinterprets the history, not just to others, but to herself. And the scariest part? She believes it. Take Mason, for example. He was married for 8 years. Nothing extravagant, just quiet devotion. They traveled, they built a small home, they made rituals like pancakes on Saturdays. But when she began acting distant, he blamed work, stress, maybe even himself. Until one day, she left. No long argument, no dramatic fight, just a note and a suitcase gone. And what crushed him most wasn't the leaving, it was the narrative that followed. She told mutual friends, "It was never real. He never knew me. I stayed longer than I should have." Mason was stunned. He had handwritten letters from her calling him her soulmate. Photos of their wedding where she beamed with joy. Memories that felt eternal, now dismissed as mistakes. He once said, "It's like someone took our entire life and ran it through a shredder, and I'm the only one still trying to tape it back together." This is emotional erasure, the betrayal of memory. And it's often the last move before she justifies her betrayal to the world and to herself. From a Stoic lens, this is where detachment becomes essential. Not indifference, but discipline. Because you can't stop someone from rewriting the past, but you can refuse to be rewritten with them. Esther Perel reminds us, when trust is broken, we don't just mourn the relationship, we mourn the version of ourselves that existed in it. And that mourning is valid, but it must not become identity. Your memories remain valid even if she no longer honors them. Your kindness wasn't fake just because she outgrew it. Your love wasn't performative simply because she forgot how it felt. When someone needs to distort the past to live with themselves in the present, it's no longer your burden to fix their mirror. So grieve it, feel it, but do not chase her version of the story. You were there, You lived it, and your memory holds truth she may never reclaim. Part 5. The exit strategy, when she plans a future without you. There's a kind of silence that doesn't scream, it calculates. She stops talking about the future, not loudly, not with argument, but with quiet omission. The long-term plans? They're no longer we, but maybe, or not sure yet. The trips you once dreamed of, the house you hoped to buy, the names you considered for future children, they vanish. And you don't even notice the moment they left. That's the brilliance and brutality of an emotional exit strategy. See, when a woman is planning her departure, it never starts with packing bags. It starts with detachment disguised as normalcy. You'll still sleep in the same bed. She'll still ask about your day. But she's already removed herself emotionally, like someone who's mentally moved out, even though the lease isn't up yet. She begins to invest only in herself. New hobbies, new routines, a gym schedule that doesn't involve you, a spiritual retreat that she just needs alone. These aren't red flags in themselves. They become dangerous when paired with emotional secrecy and fading connection. She's building independence, not as self-growth, but as preparation for life without you. Esther Perel calls this preparing the landing before the leap. It's what people do when they don't want to fall. They calculate where they'll land before they jump. But here's what hurts the most. You're not invited into the conversation about the future she's designing. You're being phased out, not with cruelty, but with strategic emotional disconnection. Let's talk about Nathan, a man who once believed he was rebuilding his marriage. His wife, Lena, had just started therapy. She became calmer, more focused, more at peace. But every conversation about shared plans was postponed. She changed the passwords to her calendar, started attending couples events alone. Eventually, Nathan found a rental contract in her name signed weeks before she told him anything was wrong. He hadn't lost her suddenly. He'd lost her quietly, month by month, while mistaking composure for commitment. This is what makes the exit strategy so disorienting. You don't realize you're being left until you already have been. The woman you love still smiles, still kisses you goodbye. But emotionally, she's in another room. And by the time you knock, the door has already closed. From a Stoic perspective, this moment demands the hardest kind of courage, accepting what is beyond your control. To love someone does not mean to possess them, and no amount of guessing, fixing, or pleading can bring back someone who has already decided to leave. But it also doesn't mean you're powerless. You still have power over your response, over the dignity with which you carry yourself in the face of her quiet betrayal. Her future may not include you, but your future never needed to be built around her. Her emotional distance is not proof that you failed. It's proof that she has changed, and you are no longer part of the story she wants to live. And that, too, is a truth a grounded man must face. When she builds a life in silence, it's not just about cheating or secrets. It's about rewriting freedom as a solo act, one that no longer has a space for you. But when you see it, don't beg to stay in a script you were never meant to finish. Walk out with your soul intact, not because you're numb, but because you've evolved beyond needing to chase someone who's already gone. Final reflections and your 7-day awareness challenge. The worst part isn't that she lied. It's that you silenced the voice inside the one that already knew. These aren't just random behaviors. They're psychological tactics designed to make you doubt your instincts and feel guilty for noticing. But hear this. You're not paranoid. You're perceptive. You're not overreacting. You're waking up. The Stoics remind us, when someone twists your reality, your duty isn't to argue, it's to see clearly. And Esther Perel was right. Love without truth isn't intimacy, it's illusion. So, if something feels off, don't explain it away. Protect your clarity. That's your power. Before you go, if this video gave you insight, like, subscribe, and share it with someone quietly struggling. Your voice might be their turning point. Now your 7-day awareness challenge. For the next 7 days, write down anything that feels off. Don't confront, just observe. Clarity begins with quiet noticing. Stay grounded. Stay wise. I'll see you in the next one.